Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a guide from Virtualization Options LLC. Now they're a Colorado-based advisory firm that helps executives, especially those in non-technical roles, get a handle on these big tech decisions. We're going to look at how to take the IT request for quotation, the RFQ, and turn it from just another piece of paperwork into what might be your most powerful strategic tool.
So let's just start with the big question, right? Why does this happen so often? It's a really common and honestly an incredibly expensive problem. You sign off on a major technology investment, you've got high hopes, but then somewhere along the way, it just goes off the rails. It's over budget, it's behind schedule, or maybe worst of all, it just doesn't deliver what you actually needed in the first place. So what's going on here?
Well, here's the thing. The research tells us the issue usually isn't about picking a bad vendor or using faulty technology. The real root cause, more often than not, is a breakdown in strategic planning right at the very beginning. It's a weakness in the foundation before a single vendor even gets a phone call.
And that initial phase, the planning and the requirements gathering, that is the make or break moment. It's right here that projects get set on a path, either to success or, unfortunately, to failure.
Think about it. Without a really crystal clear vision of your business goals, you're basically building a solution with no foundation. And the result is almost inevitable, isn't it? You get a project that just doesn't fit the business, it costs way more than it should have, and it completely fails to solve the actual problem it was created for.
Okay, so how do we build that strong foundation? Well, we do it by completely reframing how we look at a key document. We have to stop seeing the request for quotation as just some administrative task and start treating it like what it really is, a strategic blueprint for the entire project.
And this quote really nails it. A well-crafted RFQ isn't just a simple request for pricing. It's the detailed architectural drawing for your success. It's what ensures that the final IT solution you get actually matches your business vision. It becomes your #1 tool for keeping control and clarity. A truly strategic RFQ does 3 absolutely critical things for you. First, it forces you and your team to define your needs with incredible precision. Second, because you have that clarity, you can now compare vendors on real value, not just the price tag. And finally, it creates a binding agreement, a contract that truly protects your organization's interests. So where does this blueprint start? Not with technology, not with servers or software. No, it begins with a deep, honest look at your core business objectives. What is the business problem we are actually trying to solve here?
This right here is how you build the bridge between the executive's goal and the tech team's work. You start with the business outcome. We need faster customer service, and you translate that directly into a specific, measurable technical requirement like the system has to respond in under 2 seconds. Now everybody is building towards the exact same clearly defined goal.
And as you're defining these needs, you really have to think about the whole picture. Your blueprint needs to cover everything, from security to how this thing is going to scale for future growth. How does it integrate with the systems you already have? And you have to think about the total cost of ownership, not just the sticker price. And maybe most importantly, what is the actual day-to-day user experience going to be like for your team? All right, so once you know exactly what you need, the next step is to get it all down on paper. You have to document it. This is where the blueprint gets its real power, because that absolute clarity is what's going to hold your vendors accountable down the line. A really strong RFQ stands on these 4 pillars. First, you define the boundaries with the scope of work. Then, you get into the nitty-gritty of how it should work with technical specs. From there, you lay out a clear timeline with deliverables and milestones. And finally, you guarantee future performance with service-level agreements, or SLAs. Now, for any non-technical leader, this slide is everything. This is why SLAs are so important. They translate all that technical jargon into solid business promises. 99.9% uptime isn't just a number anymore. It becomes a real guarantee that protects your revenue and customer trust. A 4-hour response time becomes a firm commitment that keeps your business running smoothly. So, your blueprint is complete. It's meticulously detailed. The next logical step is to select the right builder for the job, your vendor. And the key to getting this right is running a fair, transparent, and truly competitive process. You know, one of the biggest traps an organization can fall into is focusing too much on price. A really effective evaluation has to be balanced. Of course, cost is important, but the vendor's technical capabilities should be the biggest piece of the pie. And when you factor in things like SLAs and the vendor's reputation, you make sure you're picking a genuine long-term partner, not just the cheapest option on the table. Running a disciplined process here is just non-negotiable. It means you're inviting vendors who actually have proven expertise in what you need. It means every single vendor gets the same information and the same deadlines. You want to encourage questions to make sure everyone is on the same page. And documenting how you scored everything, that's not just about being objective, it's about building trust.
Okay, so you've done all the strategic work up front. What's the payoff? Why should you invest all this time and effort into building a world-class RFQ? Well, the answer comes down to two things: tangible business value and rock-solid accountability.
The results of doing this right are incredibly clear and measurable. When you create clarity and real competition, you naturally drive down costs. By having a standard set of steps, the whole process just becomes way more efficient. But look at that last bar. The biggest impact is on vendor accountability. Because you set those expectations in stone from day one, their performance is no longer up for debate. But here's the ultimate payoff, the strategic win. By leading with your business needs from the very start, you absolutely guarantee that your technology investments are no longer just costs on a spreadsheet. They become powerful, targeted engines driving your most important strategic goals. And this really is the key takeaway from the guide by Virtualization Options LLC. For any executive listening, the final question is this one. As you look at your next big IT project, are you approaching it with a detailed, strategic blueprint designed to ensure success, or are you basically just leaving it up to guesswork? The choice you make right there at the beginning will define the entire outcome.